listening to Second Cut. This is the weekly podcast from thefilmmagazine.com, where we discuss topics in film theory and criticism through movie reviews, other stuff. You know, I think I added history in there last week, so didn't quite nail it. But this is a ho 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 Merry Christmas episode, and I'm Jacob, and I'm the one who didn't bring any Christmas cheer.
Boo. I'm Sam. I'm the one who's brought entirely too much Christmas cheer, so I better wind it down a bit before I get carried away.
And I'm Kieran. I'm the one that is trying to come up with something along the lines of ho ho ho. Now I have a bit of tinsel.
Yes. I could have gone and found a Santa hat somewhere in my house, but that's a lot of work. But yeah, we're doing a Christmas episode, and speaking of that, over at the Film Magazine, I forget the dates, but if you go donate to the Film Magazine, the proceeds will go to the writers. You know, we've talked about we're an independent film writing company, not film company. Maybe one day, but
who knows?
Yeah, when we get our $1 billion influx, we will. Yeah. But yeah, go support our writing, our writers. We need donations to stay online. We also wrote 50 unmissable Christmas movies. The whole team came together to put that out really quickly. It came out on the 1st of December.
I know.
Impressive turnaround by Joe. Go read that. I don't know if any of the movies we're discussing are on there, but
I think mine is. I think.
Nice.
Yeah. Mine will be too.
Awesome. And also go buy our Redbubble merch too. We got some good stuff. But yeah.
So, do we have any Christmas merch? Do we know?
Probably.
If not, we'll have to obviously have to change that for next year.
Yes. Somebody look into that while I stall and say, before we get into these movies, we have some Christmas questions from supporters of the show. And I think let's start here with listener Greg. He says, which Christmas film/films do you guys watch every year?
Well, I've got one answer to this. There's only one Christmas film I watch absolutely every year, and it's Muppet Christmas Carol.
Nice.
Correct answer.
Kieran?
It's usually the last thing I watch on Christmas Eve before going to bed. I normally boot up about 10:30 at night, watch it.
Yeah. In our household, with the Viva meal on Christmas Eve, Muppets Christmas Carol, but before that, it's also a tradition to do The Snowman, the Raymond Briggs animation, because that was a film I grew up watching, when I was about 2, on repeat in the summer, not understanding it was a Christmas film because I was 2. So It's just ingrained in me as just a film in general. So that gets shown as well. And I don't care. It's 25 minutes long. It's still film. Shorts are cinema. So
yeah. And if you're shouting that one out, if I was going to shout out Father Christmas, which is the other Christmassy Raymond Briggs animated film where Santa goes on or tries to go on holiday and everything goes wrong for him. So yeah, that's a lot of fun as well. Again, probably about 25 minutes. You normally see that on TV in the UK on Christmas Day morning. So, if you're if you just woken up, you're waiting for other people to rally around before you can wrap your presents. That's one thing to put on TV if you fancy a bit of a cheer up.
Is there a Doctor Who Christmas special?
Yes, there is. It's back.
There is this year, definitely. Yeah, the first full episode from the new Doctor shooting up.
Yeah, because essentially when Chris Chibnall took over in 16, 17, somewhere around there, he changed it to a festive special. So the last few aired on New Year's. But Russell T Davies' thing is when he started, he made a Christmas special, and so it's back to being Christmas special now. So we get one on Christmas Day, and I'm very happy with that.
Nice. A few quick ones for me. The Santa Claus, The Night Before from Seth Rogen, and I don't know if he directed it, but he's involved somehow. He's in it. And let's see. I mean, that's really it for me. I also watched the episode of Seinfeld with Festivus. That's a fun one. So
Yeah, I mean again, not film, but still the Bob's Burgers kind of Christmas specials are usually really really good as well. I've watched all of those a fair few times.
Nice.
And again, it's not film, but classic. The Blackadder Christmas Carol.
Yes,
It's great.
Christmas Carol, yeah. Where he learns the reverse lesson to Scrooge and realises he's actually going to have a better, more fun life if he just screws everyone over.
It's great fun.
All right. Listener Liam, he asks, do you have any Christmas film rules? And his example, I don't know if this is his specifically, but Jingle All the Way must start when it's still light outside and finish when it's dark.
So that would mean you'd have to, this time of year, you'd have to put it on at about 3:30.
Yeah.
3:30, yeah.
Probably just that Muppet Christmas Carol is the last thing I watch on Christmas Eve, really. So it varies really which Christmas films I watch when in the season. Really, it's just luck of the draw, really.
I was going to say, I'm a bit of a Scrooge. I'm not really a Christmas film person. You end up watching sort of 2 or 3 over the year, but it's not like I know sort of. It's like I haven't seen The Holiday. I refused to watch the entirety of Elf. I saw about half of it when I was maybe 9, and I don't like Will Ferrell, so I refused to watch the rest. I watch Home Alone. I'm a bit of a Scrooge like that. But Muppets Christmas Carol and The Snowman, it is kind of what I do. And then maybe there's 1 or 2 along the way. So no rules. I don't watch enough to have any.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a little question, kind of spinning off from this question to you guys. Do you think to be a good Christmas movie, it has to be something you're prepared to watch every year, basically, when it comes to this time? Yeah, it's got to be rewatchable enough. It's got to have enough kind of those kind of comfort kind of elements, to happily put it on every December.
Well, I'm with Kieran in that I don't watch very many. I'll catch
it's a good start to this Christmas episode, isn't it?
I'll catch snippets of a Hallmark one or whatever, but I don't really have any rules. I don't think too much about it. Maybe if I'm in the mood, I'll put one on, but I'm not the most festive Christmas person.
My theory is, why do you need any other films when you have Muppets Christmas Carol?
True.
You don't need any others. It's pointless.
Sort of spinning off your spin-off, before we get to our editor Joe's question, or maybe I should call him listener Joe too. Keep it even. There's no hierarchy. I was thinking about this whenever we were making our list. What counts as a Christmas movie? Because I'm one of the people that's like, Die Hard's not really one. Eyes Wide Shut's not really one.
I was going to say, are you going to go for that argument now?
And
he's just shutting it down.
I think for me, there are specific genre elements that have to do with thematic, elements. It has to be sort of happy, have a happy ending to it. I'm not saying it can't blend or incorporate other genres, but for me, a Christmas film is about Christmas first, and then if there's an action element, a horror element, that comes second.
I was going to say, therefore going that Silent Night, Deadly Night is not a Christmas movie because there's no happiness in it.
Ooh, that's a good point. It's kind of in the spirit, though, with Santa Claus.
Yeah.
It's just depressing and grisly, though, isn't it? I mean, it's not exactly Christmassy kind of emotions.
Maybe not happy emotions. Maybe just Christmas has to be at the forefront, and it has to be in the spirit.
Yeah. Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 will make you happy by how much you're laughing at it. It's not exactly.
I mean, technically, all of Shane Black's films are Christmas films because he sets them all. If not on Christmas, then the lead up to Christmas. There's always Christmas iconography involved, but obviously they're usually kind of action comedies, in addition to that. I mean, probably his only one that's explicitly Christmassy, I suppose, would be something like Iron Man 3, which at least has the theme of Tony Stark learning to put aside all his toys and learn what's really important in life, which is kind of Christmassy,
And alcoholism. Nothing more Christmassy.
Learning to love himself and his his friends and his significant others. It's just so that's fairly Christmassy, I suppose. But I wouldn't say Lethal Weapon is a Christmas film, even though it's set at Christmas.
I was going to say, is Black Christmas a Christmas film? Yeah.
Whereas arguably Die Hard is, because it's about a guy fighting to get home to his family, so.
But so here's
Flying
where
home for Christmas.
Here's where people are gonna hate me. I've never actually seen Die Hard. Is Christmas like a fundamental element of Die Hard, where he's like, I gotta get gifts home to my family?
Well,
it's one of those ones.
He's coming. Yeah, he's coming to visit his divorced wife during her office Christmas party, but it's like it is basically he wants. I'm trying to what's happening with the daughter now. Is the daughter at home at that point? I
think so. Yeah.
I think is he going to see his wife to give her gifts to give to the daughter or something? I can't
Something like that. Yeah. Die Hard's one. It's one of those ones where the way it is written, Christmas is incorporated into the plot, but you could theoretically write it where Christmas is not involved. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I take back what I said earlier. It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, this particular interpretation of the plot uses Christmas and the festivities of Christmas to push things along, to give a reason as a plot generator almost. But at the same time, it's a Christmas party and it's set at Christmas. At the same time, it could be prom. And you could do the whole thing, a teenage Die Hard, and theoretically the plot elements would still work. So it's that's why I think it's arguable. Because yes, Christmas Eve motivates the plot to go forward, but you could just as easily rewrite it to be any other kind of celebration, like a works party or something like that isn't Christmas, and the plot still works. So
as long as it has Christmas, because they could do that, but then it's another movie. The movie that exists, yeah. And listener Greg reacting to me not seeing Die Hard says, "Wow." Sam, did you have any more thoughts on what makes a Christmas movie?
No, I mean it's like it's a combination of kind of the iconography and kind of the themes and kind of how it expresses kind of what this kind of time of the year, means to a lot of people. It's as silly as it kind of sounds. It kind of almost comes down to like a feeling, how these songs can make you feel at this time of year. That is that kind of at least you can have really dark elements. Like It's Wonderful Life has a really dark stretch. The whole middle of that bit basically is fairly bleak, but at the end of it, it brings you back out of that pit of despair and gives you hope for everything for the future. So yeah, I think it is something that kind of bring about those kind of emotions kind of effectively.
Yeah,
and along the same kind of lines, let's get this one out of the way as well. Is Nightmare Before Christmas a Christmas movie?
Despite having Christmas in the title, I've always watched it on Halloween.
Can you watch it on both? This is the question.
Yeah, you can watch it on either, but you pick your holiday.
I would say
it's set in Halloween Town. There's only a very small stretch actually around Christmas and him actually acting as Santa Claus, Sandy Claus.
I think there's spirit of Christmas elements to it that it's both. It's a genre bender. So let's get to Joe's question. He asks, do you think that the increased importance of the Chinese box office and the overall impact of global markets has impacted the inclusion of Christmas iconography in major films? Is the relative absence a result of our loss of mid-budget films? And I will say, I've never really noticed the lack of Christmas inclusion and iconography in films lately.
I'm going to say, give me about a year to go away and study the question, and I'll get back to you this time next year, because this is the first time I've ever even considered the idea.
I suppose. I was listening to another very good Christmas podcast, Bar Humbug, hosted by Helen O'Hara from Empire, and she points out like 2003 was like a great kind of year for big kind of studio Christmas films. Like three released like in quick succession. You had Elf, and you had Bad Santa and Love Actually. All released like very soon one after the other. And it's also like studios now don't really put the money behind kind of holiday films generally anymore. I mean, I know I've had also like Thanksgiving this year, but generally speaking, it's almost like it's the kind of thing you probably wouldn't less like see in cinemas and more like see like on Netflix or go straight to stream services these days. It's a slightly different kind of thing, I'd argue.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I'm not sure how important the Chinese market, this is me just talking out of my rear end, but, because there is the limited number of import films to China, it's not like you're going to have 1 or 2 DC or Marvel movies or Transformer movies a year that have that iconography in it. So like, I don't think that is affecting that aspect of it. We get like a couple of Christmas or Christmas movies, at least in the Anglo sphere. Like I think about that, the Emilia Clarke one, the Princess Switch, which is straight to streaming, but.
And to be honest, anyway, I think a lot of those movies will go straight to streaming anyway, because you get to December, everyone wants to stay inside. It gets dark early. So where are most people anyway? They're inside, huddle away from the fire. You might as well shove it on streaming. People are more likely to see it there as opposed to having to go out through the cold to the cinema anyway. And therefore, because it's on streaming, you can reduce the budget of it because people are still going to see it in like just number of clicks rather than the ticket price. So I think it probably cheapens it like that.
Yeah, I mean the very idea of like a Christmas film, it's quite obvious. It's a Western idea, isn't it? It's using like Western iconography, and possibly, to generalize a little bit, probably won't probably kind of hit it kind of as with as big a splash, in like other territories, where like Christianity isn't the dominant kind of religion, and those festivals aren't as central to kind of society.
Although I haven't seen it, I have just looked up because I got just wondering what was the first Christmas film, and apparently Santa Claus is an 1898 British silent directed by George Albert Smith, which features Santa visiting a house on Christmas Eve. It's 2 minutes long, and according to Michael Brook, is believed to be cinema's only known example of parallel action as well, coupled with double exposure techniques as well. That he was describing as well. George Albert Smith was doing at the time. So
that's cool. I mean, I have seen the silent. I think it's like 1915, something like that, version of A Christmas Carol, which obviously the first film adaptation of that. Did that for my ranking last year. Again, that's about 10 minutes and very, stripped back version of the story, and basically film front on, like a stage play. But I'd put money on that being like one of the first Christmas films. But it's one of those. It feels like the kind of genre that can really kind of took off like mid-century onwards, doesn't it? I think they kind of became more dominant. Yeah.
And I mean, there are films in certain cultures that they'll watch at Christmas that aren't Christmas films. For example, apparently in Germany, it's Dinner for One is the classic, which I watched last year, and I'm like, okay, it's vaguely entertaining, but it's essentially one joke that just goes on for about 35 minutes.
It's just a butler getting steadily drunker, isn't it?
That's it.
Throughout the film, and it's like in Germany, don't they, like they play like old TV channels play it at like a particular time or something. Or is there a channel that plays just that on a loop?
I think so. It's something along those lines. It's 18 minutes. It's not even 35. It's 18 minutes of somebody getting drunk, but it's got Freddie Frinton as the butler.
Yeah, but in the UK, you got something like The Great Escape, or people would consider a Christmas film. There's nothing Christmassy about it, but it's always on TV at Christmas.
Yeah, there are things like that. Wallace and Gromit is always on around Christmas. Indiana Jones is always on around Christmas as well.
Interesting. We have a channel that plays A Christmas Story for 24 hours. So, it's...
Okay, do you want to gasp? That's one I've never seen. I've never seen A Christmas Story. But it's probably less, it's probably less surprising for a Brit, I think. I think if you were American or Canadian, that would be like a proper gasp at the moment. But it's just not as kind of culturally kind of dominant over here. It's not like one of those icons of pop culture. I don't think.
Again, we will watch Wallace and Gromit every day of the week, and that thing we're like, what the hell's this? Christmas Story? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So we watch some modern Christmas movies. There's so many classic ones. People think to, like We mentioned a few of them, but the 21st century has brought us many different kinds, stylings, and aside from when they take place, what do you think are like sort of the common elements of a modern Christmas movie compared to a more classic one, like It's a Wonderful Life or A Christmas Story?
I mean, I'll definitely bring it up with my film, but I think more and more as kind of society around the world kind of change and evolve. I think they're more and more about kind of unconventional kind of family dynamics. Kind of like found families and kind of different living circumstances and different relationships with your family and people you consider your family, even if they're not biologically your family and stuff like that. I think
it's making this sound like a Ken Loach Christmas movie now.
Yeah. But no, I think more and more that they're always going to have those kind of themes. It's going to be the same themes as they always have been. About marking the season, making day special, and showing love for each other and everything. But yeah, we it's not like nuclear families anymore. It's not like married mum and dad and two kids. It's lots of different kind of domestic kind of dynamics and family makeups. And I think as these kind of families kind of change how they how they represent it in the media is going to change, along with how kind of reality is actually changing for a lot of people.
Yeah,
it's going to change. I mean, Christmas in general as a festive holiday has changed throughout the years. In the medieval times, celebrating Christmas, they'd have about 2 weeks where they'd throw up in the great kind of mead halls and get drunk and walk through the streets chanting, in the 1300s. And then eventually that died down. And Washington Irving started complaining, and it was like, why don't we have this in the States, and started bringing that back. And then Dickens, obviously, really with Christmas Carol brought it back, and it kind of went inside the home, and just the way that Christmas has been celebrated massively changes throughout the years anyway. So it's going to be different. And I agree. I think there's a kind of breakup in kind of the kind of family dynamics there, and I almost think kind of the Christmas movies are almost not about Christmas. They're about using ideals of Christmas for other reasons. Be it family gatherings, be it or the real meaning of Christmas for anti-capitalist purposes. These kinds of things. It's less about kind of the spirit of Christmas. Well, it's less about Christmas and more kind of ways to explore the spirit of Christmas.
It's a kind of deconstructing the idea and kind of interrogating it a bit and thinking, what does really matter? Because back in the 50s or 60s, you'd have a very straight, Christmas is wonderful. This is it's time for giving. It's time for extravagance and everything. And they would just play straight. There'd be no extra commentary on that. That would just be, this is a good thing. Look at all the money we can spend on this day. Yeah. Well, I don't think you can really get away with that very, very easily anymore, without commenting on it.
I think it's almost now a time for kind of introspection, rather than the kind of big extravagant giving, big feast and everything like that. It's more a time of, especially with New Year straight after, it's more a time of reflecting, winding down the year and looking at oneself in preparation for the new year going forward almost.
I do also think...
Look forward to the light.
I do also think, that what y'all were saying reminded me of the Charlie Brown Christmas special, which is about how commercialization is terrible, and it's about Jesus. Jesus is never really a theme. It's still the Christmas spirit, but it's very much a secular version. So also, differing a lot from how they were doing it in the Middle Ages. That was probably very religiously focused. Less so on like family, the people close to you, the sort of spirit of Christmas stuff we think of. But another one for me is like the much more dramatic genre bending. Like obviously there were movies before, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Black Christmas, Die Hard apparently is a Christmas movie. So, it's not that
Life of Brian is a Christmas movie. It starts at the birth of Jesus.
But things go to so much more extreme these days, or, we'll get into a few different, like, genre blending Christmas movies that we watched, but I think that is taken even further than it used to be because of, just the way film has progressed since then. The kinds of movies that are in vogue, the styles, the need for like expansion and creativity to blaze trails we have not blazed before. So, obviously there's tons of like normal, for lack of a better word, bland Christmas movies. Like all of the Hallmark
About
ones.
5 of them a year go onto Netflix and Amazon and get viewed once by 3 people and never see the light of day again. So.
Yeah. And like there's the technology ones too. There's that one on Netflix where like this guy catfished a girl and goes to her house for Christmas or whatever to be, I think like the holiday or something like that. So yeah, there's also the technological elements too. It's You've Got Mail from Santa,
I'm not sure if this is one I actually want to watch now or not.
So with that, I guess let's get into our movies. And Sam, I'm very excited to hear about yours. Tell us about the movie you selected.
Yeah, so I've chosen Tokyo Godfathers, the anime from 2003 by Satoshi Kon. It is one of those, after kind of mentioning briefly earlier that, kind of Christmas movies perhaps don't land as big, outside of the West. This is one of those rare things that a very kind of earnest kind of Japanese kind of Christmas movie opens on Christmas Eve. Opens on a nativity play of all things, and basically from the start we're kind of introduced to our kind of lead kind of trio of characters straight away. So it's a nativity play, and these three in the crowd, the three. They're like an unlikely kind of surrogate family, is how I describe them. So three. Three very different people who find stuff on the streets at Christmas. So you got you've got an alcoholic divorcee, a flamboyant. I think she describes herself as a transvestite, I think, but I don't know whether you call more a trans woman now. I'm not sure if they ever get into whether she is transitioning or not. But she presents as someone presenting as female, but very very flamboyant and like the comic relief of the film generally. So she's known as Hannah, and less affectionately as Uncle Bag. That's what some of the people call it when they're trying to piss her off. And then you also have a team runaway called Miyuki. So Jin, Hannah, and Miyuki. So three homeless people who find themselves on the streets of Tokyo at Christmas. And they basically live very hand to mouth, just go from place to place, trying to stay warm, trying to get a meal, until they find that most Christmassy of miracles, an abandoned baby, who they resolve to adopt temporarily and take with them across the city to try and find its parents.
By the way, Sam, I saw it was inspired by John Ford's Three Godfathers. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah. I have not seen Three Godfathers, no. Yeah.
Me neither.
So, yeah, in such as it's three people find. I presume in that as well, they find a baby and they're trying to get it home. But yeah, it's and along the way, there's a lot of kind of quite raucous kind of slapstick kind of comedy, a lot of kind of sitcom kind of elements, a few fantastical moments, a brief foray into like. It's almost like a gangster movie. They seem to bump into at one point. They somehow involve at this. They end up at the wedding of this literally a godfather in the gangster sense. A godfather's kind of daughter's wedding, and there's a shootout at the wedding.
So I was wondering when it was going to go off the wall if it was Satoshi Kon that did it.
Yeah, and then like a big kind of race to the finish, a big kind of sort of like action scene towards the end, like a big kind of scrabble, to it's kind of get to their objective, and it goes very very dark towards the end as well, because minor spoil. Yeah, they do find the kids' parents, but things don't go the way they plan. There's other kind of things at play, and it's a bit of a kind of downbeat moment in it.
Sam, how does the organized crime element play into it? Because that's also something in my movie, a plot element.
Yeah, it doesn't really. It seems like it's taken a very strange kind of left turn. I think it's about a third of the way through. They've been wandering around for a while. They kind of get wind of maybe they get some information at this party, and it turns out it's a wedding of a gangster's daughter, and they get involved in the kind of the mayhem. Like I say, it's a little bit of a shootout. A terrorist holding the bride and then Miyuki hostage, and then they do get away and escape. But yeah, it's a bit of a strange kind of tangent, that one. Nice. I mean, Satoshi Kon it was a really interesting director. He only made 4 films. They were Perfect Blue, Millennium Actress, Tokyo Godfathers, and Paprika.
He's the Perfect Blue guy?
Yeah. He's the Perfect Blue
He also
guy,
did Paranoia Agent, which is really interesting.
Yes. Yeah. He did one TV series, Paranoia Agent, and then he tragically passed away at only age 46. And he's one of these. I feel like more people should know about him. Kind of he should be up there in the same breath as a Miyazaki. Because his films probably tend to be a bit kind of grittier and darker than say like most Studio Ghibli stuff. I'd say they're also more at the same time more grounded and more cartoony at the same time. It's a bit of a weird one. It's kind of they have quite dark and grounded themes and kind of realistic kind of. I suppose vocal performances and stuff, but the character animations are often more exaggerated. The animation looks a bit rougher in style, a bit looser, and kind of more kind of energetic. It's not like pristine, like smooth, like lines and everything. It's it's a bit different in that sense.
I need to watch him because the only thing I really know about him is there are people online that say Christopher Nolan ripped off his movies for like Inception.
And Black Swan is a rip-off of Perfect Blue as well.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So Paprika is there's a lot of crossover with Inception. I mean, I still think Christopher Nolan to this day hasn't admitted he's seen it, but it's people going to dreams and kind of taking information in and putting the information in, taking it out, and then the dream collapses around them and things go a bit more surreal. It's that kind of stuff. Millennium Actress is more like a straight drama. Really, it's about a retired former film star, and Perfect Blue is sort of like it's a bit Aronofsky, it's a bit David Lynch, it's a
psychological thriller.
Yeah, it's a horror movie.
I will be watching that instead of Christmas movies. That is on my immediate watch list now.
And that's more interesting because it crosses into like the J-pop kind of, they're like a manufactured girl group basically, and one of them basically starts to lose her grip on reality. And I
Paranoia is an interesting series as well. It's kind of got across.
I own that. I've never actually opened it. I do need to get around to it.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
It's got a bit like it's like a serial killer vibe. But at the same time, there's kind of the designer of a kind of like cute mascot kind of company thing, almost like a Totoro or a Hello Kitty kind of thing. That reality starts to blend and blur, and she doesn't know what's real. At the same time as mixing in this. Shonen bat and kind of serial killer guy that goes around hitting people with a bat and killing them.
Yeah,
Christmas.
I mean, this film, it's got kind of a real kind of handle on like the Christmas imagery, which I find kind of interesting from a Japanese perspective. Considering it's not like one of the big festivals over there. I mean, they do have if you go to have either of you been to Tokyo, by the way?
No.
Well, I have been to Tokyo. It wasn't at Christmas. It was kind of October time, so it's kind of the lead up. But so I didn't quite see it. But I've seen kind of images, and they do kind of, obviously, mark the occasion, decorate Christmas for Christmas and everything. I mean, there's about I think I found there's about 1.9 million Christians in Japan. So it's about 1% of the population, so it's not like, it's definitely like a minority religion, but I suppose a bit like a lot of us in the West, I suppose it's more like it's not so much like the religious element of it for a lot of people. It's more like it's just to have the opportunity to have a celebration, and kind of, mark it, as extravagantly as you can. I mean, apparently in Japan, the Western style kind of versions of kind of these festivals are become more popular. Like Western style weddings are apparently more popular than the traditional now. Valentine's Day and Christmas are marked, even though they're not kind of Japanese festivals as such, but they kind of almost been resolved for like kind of pop cultural kind of osmosis. What I do find, having been to Japan, having walked around kind of the city, these various areas of Tokyo, I struggle to think of many animated films kind of based in kind of inverted commas like the real world, where it's as recognizable where these places are meant to be. I can literally like spot like a street I've walked down in Tokyo and just recognize just from the animated version of it. It's like it's just gets like the essence of, like,
anime does do that quite a lot. You see various posts and it's just like they'll hold a picture from the anime and it's literally a cutout of the actual thing. So there are people who watch anime series and literally go to the spot, like the bus station or whatever. Yeah,
well, like I said, it doesn't really go for like the touristy landmarks very often. You do see the Tokyo Tower and a few others towards the end, but they're usually kind of in the background. And I mean, right at the end, after everything's wrapped up, we're going to like an animated credit sequence where like the Tokyo skyline starts dancing. It kind of pops around and kind of stretches and squashes and just. But generally, it's like literally these characters have got to make their way across most of Tokyo in like a snowstorm, and they're going down these like off the beaten track and just going down all these side streets and these kind of. These not as recognizable kind of neighborhoods, but it does feel kind of very grounded and real in that way. Like almost like you could just turn the corner and kind of see a real place in real life, even though I say it's all hand drawn.
So I want to know. It says that you're talking about like the reality aspects of it. How does it blend the fiction and reality, which is sort of the main theme popping up, not just in this movie, in his work too, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of his less fantastical ones, especially when you compare it to Paprika and Perfect Blue. I mean, probably the only outright fantastical, well, maybe two. There's the one of the more outright fantastical sequences. Jin is basically just dying of hypothermia, so he's hallucinating, and he sees an angel appears to him, like a proper Christmas angel, comes down to him and has a great line: "What is it that you desire, my magic or an ambulance?" And he waits a beat and then replies, "Ambulance." And then once he's been brought round and everything, he realised that it wasn't actually an angel. It was just his hallucination. It was a drag queen who worked at like the local club, that Hannah basically used to work at, and just wandering out to the street and rescuing him. I mean, there's another weird one where I think that they find this other older homeless man, and he's just. Basically just plying them for booze, basically, but he seems to almost like be kind of taken up, into heaven at one point. But then it's revealed shortly after, no, that didn't happen. That was a bit of a trick of the light, a bit of a hallucination.
Sorry, but before I did have one more question. Because oh man, what was it? You know what? You go on. I'll see if I can remember it.
Okay. But I think it's a properly Christmassy kind of movie in terms of the themes. Because apart from the side, basically, it's almost like three wise men finding, coming to Jesus. It's. I mean, Kieran, obviously, Jake won't see. But did you ever used to watch Bottom on TV?
I didn't actually. I think I must have seen an episode in passing, but I never kind of followed through.
Okay. Well, there's a very good Christmas special of that, and it's it's basically these these flatmates in like a really grotty flat in Hammersmith, I want to say. I think that's the area of London they're in. But they're all like round like this flat like for a really depressing like Christmas meal, and the baby gets abandoned on the doorstep, and they become convinced that it's a sign. It's like a religious kind of like sign of the season. But it turns out no, just this woman just put a baby down outside for a moment to get something from the shops, and she was going straight back, and by that point they'd taken it in. But this is kind of, it goes more into kind of that kind of side of it. It's like, is there something kind of almost otherworldly going on? Something kind of like a religious element to it. You kind of read it in kind of several different ways, but essentially, it's like it's a story of like a found family. Kind of they've all lost their actual family in various ways and means. Miyuki's run home. Jin's lost his family because he drank so much, and Hannah's an outcast. She's been kicked out, disowned by a family, because of how she's presenting now. But they found each other, and they've also got this new addition to the family that they're trying to trying to make whole again. So it's, and if you can't do kind of something like that at Christmas, those ideas don't have a bigger impact at Christmas, and I can't think of when else they would really.
I remembered you mentioned the drag queen, the trans character. Yeah. This is a 2003 movie. I've seen movies from 2003, and even when they incorporate it, it's not great. It's usually for comedy. How is the sexuality aspect negotiated?
Yeah, I mean, quite deftly for the time, I'd say. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but she is a fully rounded character. She is the butt of jokes, but just general ignorance by people that you'd expect, of that time. Sort of like a love-hate relationship. I mean, Miyuki kind of it takes the piss out of her, and Jin kind of tolerates her. What's so lovely about their relationship, Jin and Hannah, is he's very much a heterosexual man. His wife is still around. They've grown apart. They're separated, and he's got a daughter himself, and he's sort of trying to get back to them both. But by the end of it, Hannah is she doesn't hide it particularly. Hannah doesn't hide it particularly well. She is more or less head over heels in love with him. I think she wants a romantic relationship with him, and he loves her as well in his way, but it's more of like a platonic kind of relationship. So we got this this trans woman, this heterosexual man having a great like a deep kind of loving relationship, but kind of coming out from different angles. It's a really interesting kind of aspect of that, and it brings into it like her community, like this club, this drag club. She first works at and still got all her friends there. I mean, that's her other family there. She can go. Her biological family have kicked her out, but she can always go back there. And then she's got these friends she's made on the streets as well. They're all just so many layers to all of them, so many kind of interesting kind of contradictions and kind of nice kind of nuanced little elements, to their relationships and to how they are. As you go through the film, kind of all their backstories are kind of revealed, layer by layer, and kind of it comes to the fore, kind of why they're in the situation they are and kind of what they actually want out of life now. So it's I wouldn't say it's an easy watch. It's very enjoyable and it kind of draws you in, but it kind of stays with you. And I think it's one of those when you can probably watch it kind of time and time again, and probably discover something a bit different each time. It's definitely one of my favourites. Since I think I watched this for the first time at university, and since then I've probably watched it every couple of years. So it's definitely a regular, semi-regular rotation for me.
Nice.
Doesn't upstage Muppets though.
No, I'm not watching this every year on Christmas Eve. No, I don't think I could take the. You feel a bit, there are loads of really good gags in it and loads of like real heartwarming scenes, but there's some tough stuff in it as well. It's I'm not sure if you could see it possibly every year, it might be a little bit much, but Yeah, I'd highly recommend this story of three this unlikely found family of homeless people trying to get a baby home for Christmas. It's lovely.
I'm
Do
sure
they get
it's
the
one of
baby
the top
home?
Get
You'll
the
have to
baby
watch
home
to
movies.
find out.
I think he already said it. Well, I guess you said they found the parents. You didn't say they gave the baby back.
Oh yeah, I'm not spoiling what happens at the end.
Oh, man. All right.
Spoiler, Godzilla appears.
Godzilla does not appear unless he's in the background of one of the shots, so I've not spotted him.
Tell you what, a Godzilla Christmas movie, I'd pay for that.
Oh, all right.
Oh yeah, haven't they done that yet?
Oh, he could wear a big Santa hat? That'd be great.
Yeah. On his tail.
All right. Any final thoughts on Tokyo Godfathers?
Other than you two and everyone listening should see it if you haven't already. Annoyingly, it was on Netflix last year. I don't think it's on again this year, so you might have to put down some actual
Buy a
money for
physical
it.
copy. Yes.
But it's worth it. And annoyingly, just one last thing I'll say. Saoirse Khan's films, only one of them has had a Blu-ray release so far. That's Perfect Blue. You've got to get all the others on DVD, sadly.
Perfect Blu-ray.
Is it? Oh, god damn it.
Got to be quicker than that, Ken. We'll blame the
I'll
Wi-Fi.
let you. I'll let you. You're the host.
Ba-boom. All right. Well, since you let me grab that, I'm going to go next. And not just because we go in chronological order. I watched a very Harold and Kumar. I always said Kumar too, but it's Kumar in the movies, so I'm going to say his name right. Very Harold and Kumar Christmas, which I love the other two movies. This one, it's fine. I was going to do this or The Night Before, which are both sort of stoner comedy Christmas movies. And I decided to go with this one because I think there is a little more substance to it beyond the Christmas aspect of it, the family, all that kind of stuff. But, obviously it incorporates all of the traditional themes, ideas, decorations, other cultural touchstones for Christmas. So it stars John Cho and, oh gosh, who's the other guy? You'd think I would know his name. Cal Penn. I was going to say the guy from House. But yeah.
Laurie.
Yes. They maybe if it was made in the 1940s, he would. No, never mind. Not going into that. Othello. So yeah, the two of them, they've had many adventures together. They traveled through New Jersey trying to get to White Castle. They escaped from Guantanamo Bay after they were placed there as terrorists. And finally, they grew apart, became separated. It actually goes I think 5 years into the future, or maybe 4, beyond 2011, which is when it was released. So there is a bit of a futuristic element to it from a waffle robot who is integral to the plot action. But yeah, whenever they do finally reconnect, they have a joint, and after lighting it, it gets thrown into a Christmas tree because John Cho, who plays Harold, he no longer smokes. And so it burns up the Christmas tree, which was very special to Danny Trejo, his father-in-law. And, you don't want to mess around with Danny Trejo, so they got to go find...
Sorry, just to riff, is Danny Trejo's character called Danny Trejo? Because if not, he should be.
That would be great. I think only Neil Patrick Harris and his husband play themselves. But, yeah. So yeah, they need to go get a new tree to please him and to help him, Harold grow together with his new extended family, or not even that new. They've been married for a while, so I don't get why he's not quite in their good graces. But by the way, Sam, can you show that whole sweater? I'm sexy and I snow it. Is that what it says?
Yep.
Oh man. Ooh, yeah, you were about to
Beautiful.
get a show. He was going to pull that up. Anyway,
Oh,
yeah,
my God.
so,
got stricken off YouTube for indecent.
that's the sort of general plot to it, and they have adventures along the way. You know, it's sort of an Odyssey scenario, right, where they keep getting thwarted in every bizarre encounter they get into, and I think the biggest Christmas thing, you know, it's obviously the family part of it where he wants to be ingratiated with the in-laws, but I think also the reconnection of two best friends and like male bonding, male friendships, you know, because they don't have the sort of and this is where I think the substance to it comes from. They don't have the traditional, you know, toxic masculine bro sort of relationship. They don't have the you know, cultural whiteness. And in the first two movies, like that aspect is very integral to the film. You know, John Cho's character's Koreanness and Kalpin's Indianness, they play a role where they're like, I don't want to be a stereotype, you know, my dad and brother are doctors, you know, I don't want to be the Indian doctor. And, you know, Harold, John Cho, is like, oh, I don't want to be the math guy, you know, I don't want to be the nerdy Asian dude. And they sort of like, one thing I read, I found an article from David Galata. This is in the Journal of Popular Culture, volume 45. The article's called People of Colors, Multi-Ethnic Humor, and Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle and Weeds. You know, so obviously that's the first movie in the series and kind of a good thesis statement in there. And like I said, it includes the Weeds, but I'm going to cut it here. Harold and Kumar undermine that notion that thoughtful ethnic humor must be about only the ethnic group that created it. Both works were written and directed primarily by Jewish Americans, and they complicate the reductive white-other dichotomy that drives so much contemporary ethnic humor. One thing he does mention is there's sort of a quest to get to traditional Americana by going to White Castle, getting good hamburgers. And there's that element to it in this movie too. But one thing this movie doesn't do, and that I was a little disappointed in, is while there is the ethnic humor, you know, there is subversion of stereotypes, it doesn't really happen with the two lead characters, and their ethnic identity doesn't play into it as much as, you know, his Mexican family that his wife comes from. There's a couple of like black Christmas tree salesmen where the way they sell is they have a guy in like a Bill Cosby sweater and the other one is dressed like a gangster, and they switch back and forth in the roles. So that's pretty comedic, seeing them, you know, trying to sell a tree to Kumar and selling a tree to Harold. You know, they switch the roles up, and they also have that really sort of like tender male friendship to it too, where they're like, oh man, you know, I really messed up. I lost my grill. Oh, you know what? It's okay, buddy. You know, they're very forgiving, very expressive. And yeah, so it really does lack it with the lead characters. But not so much with the side characters. I think that's where you get a bit more of that aspect of the film. And then,
I was gonna say, with the previous two movies, because this is the third in a series, isn't it? Do you think the fact that you don't get as much of these characters is kind of made up by the fact this is the third one? You know, you've explored them a lot until now. This was the first movie, and you hardly know them by the end. Then would there be a different issue than if it's the third movie? You know what I mean?
It could be. And also maybe because it's Christmas and it's not about like, you know, being a young person trying to find your way in the world, or, you know, they're talking about like terrorism and American jingoism and xenophobia in Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, in this movie, like, it's more just about like trying to get there. So Kumar's story is he's dating Jensen Ackles, Danielle Harris, that's her name. He's dating her character Vanessa, and she's pregnant, but she thinks he's too immature. So his story is kind of like maturing, wanting to have that family that Harold is already kind of a part of. He is trying to have a kid. And Harold's is more about like, coming together with his extended family. So I guess because we do already know the characters, the motivations, because it's a Christmas film, are sort of inherently different. That could be part of it, but I feel like they could have done a better job, like specifically addressing those aspects. And like I mentioned earlier, there was a gangster in this movie, and he is sort of important to the plot. So I don't know if y'all watch Jake and Amir from College Humor, but Amir is in this movie. He plays Kumar's best friend, and he's, kind of he's an idiot. And he says stupid things, and gets into bad situations. So he is going to go have sex with the virgin daughter of the gangster, because no one will have sex with her. So he doesn't know why. He just shows up at the party. Harold and Kumar go, "Oh, we can steal one of that nice Christmas tree that he has over there." And it turns out he's a gangster. He shows up. There's all kinds of shenanigans. There is a joke in there that, it's 2011, so you have a bit more of the edgy humor. It looks like Harold and Kumar are having sex with her in like an Eiffel Tower sort of scenario, but they aren't. But they say like, "Oh no, your daughter's raping us. It's not the other way around." And like, it's a little uncomfortable, but. I don't want to say different times and say that that's a valid excuse, like that makes it okay, but like it was just different back then. Like,
this is the era that like Family Guy was at its height and American Dad was at its height. There were times when these kind of things you could push it and people would eventually go, "Whoa, a bit too much," but they would go up to the limit.
And I think it's the tone of the kind of the humor of the whole series, really, isn't it? They are prepared to go a little bit further, and it's either your thing or it isn't. A lot of people laugh at it, a lot of people don't, but
Yeah, and there's also there's a character. Oh gosh, what is the actor's name? Thomas Lennon. Like he's just in a bunch of like he's in How I Met Your Mother. He's in like. The League. I can't think of like movies he's in, but he's playing this very like straight-laced nerd suburban dad who is bringing his child along. By the way, I didn't mention this. This movie was a 3D movie, and it has a lot of like meta 3D humor, a lot of like, obviously, we're making jokes about 3D with this. And one of those jokes is he says, "Oh, it's 3D day." And he goes, "What? What are you talking about?" Harold says to him, and he says, "Oh, it's daddy-daughter day." So he has his toddler-age daughter with him, and she ends up inhaling marijuana smoke. She ends up doing cocaine, which is vital to the plot because she helps kind of fight the gangster guy. And she also does ecstasy.
Is it one of these cocaine gives you superpowers sort of situations?
Yes, yeah. So he's trying to change her, and so he's going from room to room where people are having sex, people are doing drugs. They both get dusted in cocaine, and eventually a bag of cocaine gets shot, and Bing Crosby's White Christmas plays, and there's all kinds of very classic Christmas songs played throughout the movie in sort of ironic tonal situations. And yeah, so it's very raunchy, obviously.
Does Neil Patrick Harris do anything like to rival what he did in Doctor Who a week just gone? Just one of the campest things I've ever seen. His big villainous character introduction was to do an elaborate dance routine to the entirety of "Spice Up Your Life."
Oh,
it is so good.
Neil Patrick Harris has just a way over the top musical number.
And yet apparently he's not a dancer.
That's actually insane to me, because
he just got cast with this entire kind of megalomaniac kind of dance number. He's like, "I'm not a dancer. Like, I dance, but I haven't taken like dance lessons or anything like that." And he has to do this whole thing.
Yeah, he's so talented. Like I love Neil Patrick Harris. But in these movies, he's a complete like just piece of garbage person. Like that is his character. And so in this movie, I think the other two, he wasn't like open about his gayness at that point. And in this movie, you know, he is. So he does the big, you know, music number, and he walks up to one of the dancers and he's like, oh, and there's a bunch of trees on set. That's how they end up there. And they're sort of dragged in accidentally, and they go, oh, we can get that tree. We know Neil Patrick Harris. He'll hook us up. Neil says to one of the dancers, hey, why don't you come to my room? We'll do some rehearsals, you know? And so they go hide in his room, and then the dancer comes in and he goes, oh, you know, I'm gay. And we see his husband, let's see, David Burtka, I think is his name. He plays Scooter on How I Met Your Mother. And
is this just a How I Met Your Mother reunion?
Well, not really, because it's just the two of them. Oh, I guess Cal Penn is on that show. I forgot about that.
Say, this is the third person you've mentioned.
John Cho is too. Oh wow!
Yes, so it is.
Oh yeah, it is. I am.
This is How I Met Your Mother, the Christmas movie.
Yep. So yeah, Neil Patrick Harris, they're hiding in the room, and he starts massaging her. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take off your bra. You know, we're just girlfriends." And you know, obviously, it goes very inappropriately, and she runs away. And also, he's begging his husband. Who, by the way, has a wife and kid, and he's extorting Neil. He's like, you need this crack, huh? Well, why don't you put more money in my account? Or maybe I'll have to tell everybody you're not gay. And yeah, so Neil Patrick Harris is also a crackhead, which, God, he's so funny. Like,
I mean, it must be very liberating, you know, if you're well known as one of like the nicest guys in Hollywood, to just play a complete kind of reversal, like exaggerated version of your character, you know, polar opposite of what you actually are.
Yeah, and he's where they get the Wafflebot from, because he abuses it. And he's like, oh, you want this Wafflebot? Cool. Wafflebot hates pancakes. He uses hot syrup. Whenever they get captured by the gangsters, that's how he frees them, the very hot syrup. He also fights the gangsters with the syrup and his, like, waffle iron. He hates pancakes. And he does have a moment where he's like, oh, and he dies. I guess he comes back to life towards the end. I'm pretty sure he does. So it's a Christmas miracle. The way they finally end up getting, well, they do get the tree on Christmas morning, but the way they get it is Santa magic, because they accidentally hurt Santa Claus, and then Kumar has to like stitch him up and get him back together. And he goes, oh, you know what? I sent y'all that joint so you guys would come back together, and friendship, magic, Christmas, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so that's how they come back together throughout the whole story. But
so is all the Christmas messaging basically crammed into the last 10 minutes?
No, it's definitely throughout the whole film. It's just direct address from Santa Claus at the end of the film.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, Sam, you said yours was not very fantastic. Probably not fantastical at all, based on how you ended up, like, describing the hallucination. So, my movie was much more fantastical than yours, where there is a Santa Claus. Babies can do cocaine. Never mind. I'm not saying what I was about to say, because we are on YouTube. And, yeah, that's, you know, overall, like, it's, you know, it's a movie you can watch. It's kind of funny. Like, I never bust a gut or anything. I enjoy watching it, I guess. But for me, it's not as good as the other two. I'd rather just watch Guantanamo Bay or White Castle, because I think that they're more significant in terms of, like, what they have to say about the individuals.
I think especially Escape from Guantanamo Bay, that actually took me kind of aback, you know, after seeing the first one, and then going to that one, it's like, oh, this is actually about something. This is actually angry about the state of the world, you know.
Yeah, and that's meaningful, especially like in that time. You know, I was younger. Yeah. I think I discussed my avoidance of the Iraq War during that time, but like, yeah. I mean, that's a whole thing. America is something else, guys. Anything else on Harold and Kumar?
Are you asking that to yourself?
I mean, I guess you guys.
Because you normally ask us for our films or any other comments. So it sounds like you're asking yourself, do I have anything else on this film?
Yes. Well, I don't really. Do you guys have anything?
I mean, if I quite like the other two, should I give this a go?
You might as well. It's on. Well, y'all don't have. I was going to say it's on Max, but you don't have Max.
Max.
HBO.
Yeah. I've just looked it up on. I don't think it's available on any stream.
It's on BFI Player. The one last thing I will say, the reason that Christmas is so important to Danny Trejo is because there's a graphic novel, like Flashback, where young mustachioed child Danny Trejo, it's animated, and it's kind of like a Batman origin story. He was raised poor and, wherever they said he was in, and his mother was killed by these Korean gangsters, and they all have like John Cho's face on different bodies. And so like he's dedicated his life to, I think it was like growing, because he grows Christmas trees. Like, I don't know if his mom did that or if she just really loved Christmas and Christmas trees or whatever, but that's how he got into it. So that was a funny bit in the film.
Well, sold.
There you go.
I'm watching just for Danny Trejo.
Also, that one of the Jewish characters from the other two movies converted to Christianity, and he's very like he's so like self-righteous about it, and he stops making Jewish references. He calls them like "you people," which is kind of funny. But then him and his son both cross themselves at dinner, and then at the end he's like, "Oh, you owe me 87 cents for those burgers, guys," but they leave.
Okay, the question is, you said there's a lot of songs in there. Are there any actual musical numbers?
Just the Neil Patrick Harris TV special number. And there's also an escaped criminal who's on like a crutch, and he does the Tiny Tim "God Bless Us Everyone," but then falls.
Yeah. And Tokyo Godfathers opens with Silent Night and ends with the Dancing City credits. So 2 musical-ish sequences, but I bet you've got us both beat, haven't you, Kieran?
I was going to say, yes, I have an actual...
Segue.
I was going to say, never would it be me to bring up the musical. Because I'm not really a musicals person. However, Anna and the Apocalypse is just glorious in every way. Because if you don't know what it is, it's a Scottish high school Christmas musical zombie movie.
Can you understand the characters?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
There's only sort of one or two that
don't get mad,
with an actual kind of Scottish accent, but it was made by Scots with a lot of help from the kind of Scottish Film Fund and things like that. And it's based off a nominated and award-winning short film called Zombie Musical, which is a prototype for what would be Anna and the Apocalypse. In fact, one of the sequences of still called Anna waking up and going to school that day, and there's all zombie stuff behind her, is kind of kept into this film. And that was done by a filmmaker called Ryan McHenry when he was about 22, I think, something like that. So it came out in 2010, 2011. And I didn't actually know this, but he passed away at the age of 27 in 2015, so before this got made. And I think it was kind of in pre-production, a bit stirrings going around. Then other people kind of took it over and made it into Anna and the Apocalypse. And I am not the musical person, but I remember seeing this. It was the last film of Avatar 2017, I want to say. And it's just about a girl who's her mother has passed away, and she's last year at high school, wondering what she's going to do with her life. She thinks she's going to go backpacking around Australia for a year and not going to go to university. Her dad's not very happy about it. She's got a best friend who is in love with her and like friend zone completely, and a half boyfriend hookup, in passing kind of thing that comes back. here and there called Nick, and there's a school talent show the night before, and they've couldn't get there, and then the next day it's a zombie apocalypse all across the world, and they've got to kind of get through to the zombie apocalypse and get back to the school because her dad's the janitor there, so she's trying to hook up with her dad, and the best friend goes with her, and they've got one or two other friends that have got some people that are still in there, and they're going around singing, full-on musical numbers and killing people with giant candy cane zombies with giant candy canes and baseball bats, and
I'm sold.
Have you not seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh,
I don't watch Christmas movies.
It's ridiculously fun. Like there are when I say it's a musical, I mean full musical, like High School Musical numbers, like choreographed dancing in in the canteen and stuff, banging and all that. And then I think one of the famous ones is her kind of leaving the house the next day. She's like, I'm going to change my life. Everything's going to be great. She's doing all this. And there's just like car crashes and zombies like eating people behind her as she kind of leaves the street for school.
So is you said it's a global apocalypse. Is media working for that to be communicated to people?
Yeah, they've got some media in it kind of like over time, sort of now the cell phone signal goes down because there's a huge conversation. She and her best mate John, the friend zone guy, work at a bowling alley, and they go there initially when they realise the zombie apocalypse is happening, and they meet up with two other friends of theirs, Steph and Chris, and they're checking everything out, and like on social media apparently people getting evacuated, so people are posting evac selfies on social media as they get an hashtag evac selfie, and Chris is who's a kind of budding filmmaker scrolling through his phone, and one of the biggest laughs is he just randomly stops and goes, "Oh my god, Justin Bieber's a zombie." and they have conversations of just like, is Robert Downey Jr. a zombie? It's like, no, Robert Downey Jr. is surrounded by electric fences. He'll be fine. It was like, what about Taylor Swift? Why would you do that? Tay-Tay's fine. Don't even go there,
So, Kieran, what are the zombie rules? I know it's a Christmas movie, but that's like the most important aspect of a zombie movie.
It's literally just they're slow-moving zombies. And they kind of get they distract him one bit by playing Chris plays hooks his phone up to a TV near the end and plays the footage that he's been recording of them for a film that he's making. The zombies are all kind of like stood trance-like at the screen because they hear people talking on there, but they can't get at it. That's the rules. The heads keep after they've been decapitated. The first one they meet is a guy in a big snowman, a zombie in a big snowman costume that they managed to decapitate by having a seesaw and doing like that, whacking the head off on the other end, and it keeps kind of gnashing at them a few minutes later. It's still with like a snowman head on. It's pretty funny. So it's got its laughs. But yeah, in terms of the zombie movies, that's it. And it's not an instant change either. There's a good couple of minutes before to give plenty of time for the tearful goodbyes, because it's a zombie movie. Not everyone makes it.
2 minutes is pretty quick, though.
Well, a few minutes. So it's sort of like 4 or 5, but it's not like, there's some zombie movies where it's like that, and like 2 seconds later they've turned. Like,
or The Walking Dead, where it's like days as you slowly die.
Yeah.
I seem to remember it's fairly emotional, kind of how some of the characters kind of go. So.
Somehow, because it's a bit like Shaun of the Dead in like the first sort of 30 minutes or so. There's not much zombie stuff. It's building up the characters. And when they do start killing them off, I mean, I remember seeing it in the cinemas, not the cinema, at the festival, and there's a death. Sort of 2/3 of the way through that I remember tearing up at, because I was not expecting that. It actually manages to pack the punches, and there's a great performance by Paul Kaye as Arthur Savage, the teacher who's now the new head teacher that thinks they're all little shits and has his own little musical numbers. Like, I'm the boss, go to hell. And then he's the bad guy of them all. He's like, we can keep civilization here. If you listen to me.
They give him like an old-fashioned Disney villain song, basically, don't they?
Yeah, he has his own song musical number. It's great. He's not the greatest singer ever, but they still give him this musical number, and it's just really fun. That's the thing. Yes, it has the emotional impact. There's enough kind of blood and guts in there to be kind of fun. It's not like massive splatter, but it's a zombie movie. You got to have some in there. But it's got the fun. It's got there's Christmas cheer. I mean, they go through kind of an indoor shopping center where they're all selling the Christmas trees, and it's like a Christmas tree maze at one point. And Anna, has her weapon because all obviously zombie heroes need a weapon, and she has a big kind of plastic candy cane, the spike at the end that she kind of whacks people with and jabs through the face. And the kind of final showdown is she gets into the school, and there's in the older Christmas, the kind of main hall where they've had this Christmas, almost like a talent show the night before. And this movie, I do remember, have to point out, does have one of the most ridiculous, 40-minute, scenes ever in the talent show. There's two kids in big penguin costumes, and they do a penguin rap kind of thing with the phrase "mother flipper" in it. And it's so fun and great and stupid. And that song is on the soundtrack, which is on Spotify, and it's great fun.
Kieran had to turn that off when we started the show.
I know, I was listening to it before and just dancing around. It's great musical numbers. It's fun. It's got surprising emotional heft to it with some of the deaths in there. And again, it is about, we were talking about these kind of dysfunctional families, these ragtag kind of groups, and Apocalypse. Well, Apocalypse movies just in general are about kind of ragtag families and coming together when everything else breaks down. And you do have this, and there's a bit of kind of, Anna's not sure where she's going. And now essentially, the world is taken out from her. So the final line is, where are we going next? And they kind of drive off out of the town. She's finally leaving where she wanted to, even under different circumstances. So there's little currents like that underneath, but at the same time, it is somebody went, can we put zombies in a musical at Christmas in a movie? And went, yes, let's have fun. And it's just fun. Have some tissues for one or two of them. And there's some, again, really nice moments. But it's just at the same time, those moments are just as good as her prancing down the street and, through a graveyard to invisible music while there's a zombie apocalypse going on. And they're great performances, and it's just a great, fun little horror comedy musical, Christmas candy canes. And again, the entire soundtrack is on Spotify. So, why not?
But by the way,
just fun.
I see that, it was nominated for a few things at a couple different film festivals, but its only wins were at the Toronto After Dark Festival. It was nominated for Best Feature Film, Gold. I don't know what that means. Best Ensemble Cast, Best maybe Gold, Silver, or Bronze. Who knows? Best
Possibly,
Comedy,
yeah.
Best Music, Best Title Sequence. It swept all of those awards. And now I know about the Toronto After Dark Film Festival, which is a showcase of horror, sci-fi, action, and cult cinema held annually in Toronto. So I guess that's a place to look for.
It wouldn't have been not Toronto. It was oh yeah, it's the Toronto After Dark Film Festival held in Tokyo.
Yeah, it's in Toronto, Maine or something.
Toronto, Australia.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's a place now when I'm looking for what are sort of the cutting edge horror films. Maybe I'll go see what was showing there. It runs in October, apparently.
Yeah, it's just So if you want a modern kind of Christmas movie that's a little bit different, and you're fed up of Nightmare Before Christmas as a Christmas musical, then obviously this is where to go. This is the step up. And again, they're all in kind of she's got a kind of high school shirt and a tie on, and John's got a Christmas jumper on that lights up at various points, and it's just good fun, but still got that heft. And like there's no other way to describe it aside. Well, I think one of the taglines, or kind of on the trailers and the posters, is that it's Shaun of the Dead meets La La Land, and that's about as close as you can get. Only it's with high schools as well, and it's made by some Scots. So
Nice.
there's not that much else. It's Out of the Apocalypse. It's great fun, and I hadn't seen it since I saw it at the festival. I saw it again, just watching it, going, I love this movie. I really do love it.
Yeah, I need to go watch it.
And I'll have to revisit it, and at the very least play the soundtrack on Spotify, so I can have those songs going around my head for forevermore.
I was going to say, I'm sure it's on other platforms as well. Other platforms are available. Before we get hit with that, I feel like I have to be on TV to say it, but I know that it's on Spotify. So,
yeah. All right. I guess, is that it? Any final other thoughts?
Not really. I don't think.
Nice.
I think we've got a good cross section there. Three kind of quite different, though in some way similar, kind of new Christmas movies for people to check out should they wish.
Yeah, and I put out a hit. Guys, what are some of your favorite Christmas movies on Instagram? Maybe I should have done that yesterday, but fortunately, film magazine writer and published author Martha Lane. Go check out her book Lies Over the Ocean if you need another Christmas gift. She said her favorite Christmas movie is Rise of the Guardians. So, yeah.
I've somehow not seen Guardians.
Yeah, that's not one I have seen, but I am Googling it real quick.
Is it a Christmas movie?
It's got Santa in it, so...
Yeah, but so was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, so...
Yeah, I would argue that's a movie.
Yeah, that's pretty Christmassy.
I could argue it is, yeah. Rise of Guardians, it's fun. I think it was it's directed by one of... who's it? It's one of the Spider-Verse guys. Yeah, one of the Spider-Verse guys. Yeah, that was his first big thing. Yeah.
Yeah, if Santa has tattoos on his forearms that say "naughty" and "nice," yeah, it's a Christmas movie.
Okay.
Also, Jack Frost. I mean, yeah, that's good. That's not one I've seen, but one I'll check out.
I'm thinking of a different film, and I can't remember what it is.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
No. I'll remember what it is. But now that I look at it, I go, yes, that's not the film I was thinking of, but I recognize it.
Yeah. I'm just filling air here as Kieran figures it out.
No, I'll remember 3 weeks' time.
Perfect. We'll let y'all know in 3 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, any other kind of Christmas films that you think people should check out? Not like the well-trodden ones, everyone watches Home Alone, It's a Wonderful Life, stuff like that. But any other obscure ones you can think of that you want to highlight? I mean, I would say another animation, Klaus on Netflix is really worth looking at.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't that win or was nominated for an Oscar?
I think so. Yeah. But it's kind of got this weird kind of semi-satirical edge. It's almost like a Discworld kind of story in the kind of tone. It's a bit Terry Pratchett in kind of how it presents itself. But basically, J.K. Simmons, plays like a hench Santa who lives out in the woods. It's like a reclusive woodcutter, and they've got a kind of him and this. Dweeby postman, in this Norwegian island, basically save a village that's kind of in the midst of almost like a civil war almost. So it's an interesting one.
I was going to say, have either of you seen? I haven't yet, but have either of you seen Violent Night?
No, I've got it downloaded and ready to watch sometime of next week. So.
You're literally about to do that as soon as we finish.
Yeah.
And I mean, this one's not obscure, but I just remembered that I do like it. The live action Jim Carrey Grinch. I don't watch it every year, but even as an adult, I'm pretty sure I saw it in theaters. But even as an adult, I really enjoy that movie. It's funny.
Also, is it Batman Returns that's set at Christmas?
It
God.
is, yeah. Yeah.
Therefore,
Yeah,
obviously.
No.
And anyone who says it's not a Christmas film is deluding themselves. The final line in it is literally "Merry Christmas, Alfred."
Oh,
How can it not be a Christmas movie?
when we start discussing Batman Returns again, it's probably time to move on, even if it is technically a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess that's it for our Christmas episode.
It's time to wrap the episode up with a nice little bow.
There you go. Yeah, but so I guess we'll be going for now, but this will not be the last episode of the year. You can tune in next week for something else, but until then, you can follow us at Second Cut Pod. Keep up with all of our fascinating announcements and content that we totally have on social media. Donate to the film magazine, the writers, the website itself. Go to our Redbubble store, buy cool stuff. And, of course, YouTube, subscribe, all that junk. And, guys, where can people find you online?
You can find me at SSP Thinks Film and at the Film Magazine. My Christmassy content on there. You can see my ranking of all of the major film adaptations of A Christmas Carol, which I did last year. I was doing the rounds again. And there is, what's the other thing I need to mention? Oh, and of course, there's my full review of Tokyo Godfathers, which you can check out if you so wish. And just generally read our big old team list of must-see Christmas films, and share that around and check out as many of those films that we mentioned as you can, because most of them are definitely worth a watch.
And hopefully you don't find me anywhere. If you do, I'm K Judgmental across the various places, Film Magazine. I'm on writing there as well. The main place. Christmassy stuff. The only thing I'll have upcoming is when it comes out on New Year's Eve, a few days after, I'll be updating the Ghost Story for Christmas, because there's a new one of those coming out on Christmas Eve, adaptation of an Arthur Conan Doyle story, lot number 249, I think it is, which somehow I haven't read, but have to read. And I don't think I've got anything else coming out aside from the general stuff, but nothing Christmassy. But Go Story for Christmas, go marathon all of those because they're great. And Go Stories, this is what Christmas is for.
Yeah, and my microphone was totally on there just now. You can find me at Jacob Film Guy, wherever you follow people. And I don't really have anything coming up right now, but I have written a review back when it came out of The Princess Switched Again, which is a Netflix Christmas series. Not obscure. It's probably one of their biggest holiday films, including The Christmas Prince. They got a bunch of weird princess royalty Christmas movies, but go read my review of that if you're really aching for something to read and really want to read something Christmassy. But that's it. Thank you for watching, listening, contributing, send us questions, all that stuff. Greg and whoever else is here, thank you for being here. So that's it. Thanks again, and goodbye.
Adios.
Merry Christmas.
And Happy New Year.